Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a video on how we can humanize AI written content. And I have a prompt that I will share in the description box below. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to copy this prompt. And in this prompt, it basically goes over some things to look at when trying to write content that sounds human written. And so you want to look at things like active voice versus passive voice. You want to use varied vocabulary. You want to use natural sounding transitions like however, for example, etc., etc. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I'm going to paste that in here and I'm just going to press enter. And at the end of the prompt, I did ask it, do you understand? Yes or no? And it answers that question. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to copy this string here. I'm going to be like, based on this topic, can you write an introductory introductory. Additionally, please extract tone of voice from the below transcript that you will use for the output. Transcript. And then what I'm going to do is this is a really nice way to actually get some good context. Say, for example, you have a blog post that you really like the tone of, or you like a YouTube video that you like a tone of. So I just took this video specifically for this piece, this string here, and I'm going to copy this here, and I'm just going to paste that here, and I'm going to press enter, and it's going to write the introductory paragraph. Now, ideally, because I don't want to make this video too long, what I would do before actually writing the content is I would actually break down the topic in terms of the H1, the H2s, and the H3s, and then based on that, I would ask Claude to write content. So what I did was I've carefully analyzed the transcript and extracted the tone of voice to use for the output. Here's an introduction of how to become a web developer without a degree, written in that style. Want to become a web developer but don't have a fancy degree? No sweat. Let's cut through the BS and talk about how you can actually learn web development in 2023. Forget those become a Google engineers in 3 months clickbait videos. I want to give you the real deal. A no-nonsense approach that'll get you coding without drowning in student debt or wasting time on unnecessary courses. Here's the thing. You don't need Harvard CS50 or a pricey bootcamp to become a web dev. What you need is grit, resourcefulness, and a passion for building cool stuff. In this guide, I'll walk you through a practical, hands-on path to web development that'll have you creating real projects in no time. So buckle up, future coder. See, I think that's a little bit more casual. What I'm going to do is make this a little less casual and more professional, but still follow the initial guidelines. Got it. Becoming a web developer without a degree is entirely possible in 2023. Now, we'll have to update that. Let's cut through the noise and focus on a practical, no-nonsense approach to learning web development. Forget the unrealistic promises of becoming a high-paid software engineer in just 3 months. Instead, we'll explore an effective path that doesn't require expensive bootcamps or a computer science degree. The truth is, you don't need Harvard CS50 or costly programs to become a proficient web developer. What you do need is determination, resourcefulness, and a genuine interest in building innovative projects. This guide will walk you through a hands-on approach to web development that'll have you create real-world applications sooner than you might think. We'll dive into the core technologies of web development, HTML, CSS, in JavaScript. You'll learn where to start, how to progress, and more importantly, how to apply your skills to projects that align with your interests. By focusing on practical experience and building a strong foundation, you'll be well equipped to tackle the challenges of modern web development. Ready to embark on your coding journey? Let's explore the most efficient way to become a web developer in today's fast-paced. So this line here I would get rid of because it does sound AI generated. Now what I want to do quickly is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go to originality.ai. And this is a tool that sometimes I use. It's not always perfect, obviously, but what it can do is it can actually detect if something is AI generated or not. And it gives you a percentage difference between how much it thinks it's AI generated versus how much it thinks it's not AI generated. Now, from my experience, even humanizing AI content still gets that sort of, see, it says 100% AI generated. Let me reload that again. See if that fixes that issue. Let me try one more time. So again, so it does consider this AI generated, which is fine. Sometimes humanizing content too much actually makes it less useful. So you have to just balance the two sometimes, and this could be a false positive as well. So I'm not going to say that just because it's 100% AI that it's necessarily bad, but that is not necessarily a good sign. Now, as someone who isn't necessarily a writer, I'm just trying to understand what makes this AI generated. I guess it's hard to tell. I still have to study this a little bit more in terms of how this determines something is AI generated. But yeah, let's do the next one. So uh, continue on to the next paragraph. Talk about, and you can, again, initially what I would have done is broken this down into a table of contents and then work off of that. But right now I'm just flying, like I'm basically doing this on the fly, and I'm gonna be like, okay, talk about um, what are the requirements to become a professional web developer, and it's gonna write. First off, forget the idea that you need a fancy degree or some magical formula to break into this field. What you do need is a solid grasp of the fundamentals and the drive to keep learning. Here's the deal: to become a pro web developer, you've got to master the holy trinity of web technologies: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is your structure, CSS makes things pretty, and JavaScript brings it all to life. But don't just memorize syntax. You need to understand how these tools work together to create kick ass websites and web apps. Next up, you'll want to get comfortable with version control. Git's your go to here. And at least one modern framework or library. React's hot right now, but Vue and Angular are solid choices too. Pick one and dive deep. But here's the kicker: technical skills alone won't cut it. You have got to develop your problem solving chops. Web development's all about breaking down complex issues and finding creative solutions. And trust me, you'll be doing that a lot. The thing is, right? I think there's a little bit too much of casuality, or just it being too casual, without it actually. It's not as much fluff as GPT-4 is, but it still adds that little bit of fluff, right? And it doesn't really answer the question in a way that I would say, showcases expertise and authoritativeness. And I think when someone like me, or someone who is does this on a regular basis, for example, I can write a lot about marketing and AI and things like that because that's something I do in general. I have personal experience, and it's easy for me to add those personal touches and personal experiences within my content, which actually makes it something that people would read because they are interested in your personal experience rather than what is versus how is, right? And so I think AI is, and I've made a couple of videos on this before where Claude Sonnet does a good job, much better job at writing content than I would say GPT-4o. But, and I've watched a ton of videos on people writing content with Claude AI and Claude 3.5 Sonnet and how they humanize the content. And, it's like no one actually shows that it's still not there yet. So I want to be as transparent as possible. And, I'm going to copy this. And again, I can, to me, this is like something that I would consider AI generated. I'm going to copy this, right? I'm going to go back to originality AI, and I'm going to scan again. And it's very likely going to be AI generated. And, there are humanizer tools that we can potentially use as well, which I might test out in a future video. But I think I think it's good. Okay, what I would say is, as a takeaway to this video, is build content using AI. I would recommend that, but you really need to figure out how to add your own personal touch and spin to it. And you almost have to go through the whole piece with a fine tooth nail and just work on improving the content by adding your own personal touch throughout the content piece. So, and this AI prompt might be useful or might not be useful, but we're not there yet. So that, and I test this a lot. I test humanizing AI content all the time. I'm still in the process of figuring out how the hell do we automatically humanize content in a way that is helpful to the user. And I think we're not there yet. So that's my takeaway. I think I'm gonna test like more and more of these videos. I'm gonna make a lot more of these videos where I just try to test and see, okay, is there a way we can automate the humanization of content? And I'm not saying to just bark on like writers and things like that. I think it helps writers as well, and it helps you produce better content faster. But the key here is, how do we produce better content and not just faster? What ends up happening is a lot of people who write content, they're writing content faster, but not necessarily better. Is it really helping the end user? I think as a marketing professional, that's the main goal here, is to actually help the end user. So yeah, I'm gonna end it there, and I guess until next time, see you guys later, and take care.